They were once gods of the squared circle, adored by millions, showered in money, fame, and glory. Their names echoed through arenas across the world. But when the lights dimmed and the cheers faded, some of wrestling's biggest legends found themselves facing a far crueler opponent: life itself. This is the untold story of WWE stars who climbed to the top, only to fall into darkness. Addiction, homelessness, prison, despair, and sometimes redemption. Dave Bautista, from the animal to the edge of ruin. Few wrestlers embodied dominance like Dave the Animal Bautista. His chiseled physique and magnetic charisma made him one of WWE's most bankable stars. From the mid-2000s onward, Bautista was the epitome of success, headlining pay-per-views, selling out arenas, and living the kind of life most could only dream of. But when he walked away from WWE in 2010, Bautista expected Hollywood to welcome him with open arms. Instead, he faced a brutal reality. The transition from wrestling superstar to legitimate actor was far tougher than anyone had warned him. By 2013, reports showed that Bautista, once worth millions, was broke. His home went into foreclosure. His wrestling fortune evaporated, drained by a combination of bad investments, the high cost of fame, and years of unemployment. The Animal had become prey to the unforgiving world of show business. Bautista later admitted he was starving, not just for work, but for purpose. For 3 long years, from 2010 to 2014, he couldn't land roles that paid the bills. He had gone from the pinnacle of professional wrestling to financial collapse. Yet even when the lights went out, Bautista refused to give up. Then, in 2014, everything changed. Marvel cast him as Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy. The role resurrected his career and his life. Overnight, Bautista went from washed-up ex-wrestler to global movie star. Roles in Spectre, Blade Runner 2049, and Dune followed, cementing his place in Hollywood history. Bautista's story proved that even when everything falls apart, redemption is possible. But not every wrestler found their way back. For Perry Saturn, the fight wasn't in the ring. It was for his life. Perry Saturn, the soldier who fell into darkness. Perry Saturn was once one of the toughest men in wrestling, a decorated U.S. Army Ranger turned professional fighter. He wasn't just an athlete, he was a warrior. His career spanned ECW, WCW, and WWE, earning him respect and financial success. But in April 2004, Saturn's life changed forever. One night in Atlanta, he witnessed a woman being attacked, and he did what few would dare. He stepped in. In the chaos that followed, Saturn was shot in the back of the neck with a .25 caliber handgun. His bravery saved the woman's life, but it also shattered his own. The physical and emotional trauma haunted him, and in the months that followed, he turned to crystal meth to numb the pain. What started as medication became an addiction that devoured him. He lost his home, his money, his friends, even his identity. For nearly 3 years, Perry Saturn lived on the streets, battling meth addiction and the lingering effects of traumatic brain injury from his wrestling days. At one point, the wrestling world believed he was dead. But he wasn't gone, just broken. With the help of his wife, Lisa, Saturn began the slow climb back. She became his caregiver, his anchor, and his reason to fight again. By 2016, he was drug-free. And in 2021, after nearly a decade away, Perry Saturn returned to the ring for one more match, a victory that symbolized his survival. Today, he's living proof that even in the darkest moments, the human spirit can find light. But for others, that light burned out completely. Tammy "Sunny" Sytch, from superstar to prison cell. In the 1990s, Tammy "Sunny" Sytch was wrestling's golden girl. Charismatic, glamorous, and wildly popular, she became WWE's first true diva and one of its highest-paid personalities. She graced magazine covers, stole hearts, and seemed untouchable. But behind the fame, addiction, and chaos were already taking hold. After leaving WWE in 1998, Sunny's world crumbled. Years of substance abuse led to repeated arrests, DUIs, and mounting legal troubles. Each headline painted a darker picture. Then, tragedy struck. On March 25, 2022, in Ormond Beach, Florida, Sunny drove drunk, more than 4 times the legal limit, and crashed into a stopped vehicle. The collision killed 75-year-old Julian Lassiter. The woman once adored by millions was now facing a charge of DUI manslaughter. In November 2023, Tammy Sytch was sentenced to 17 years in prison, followed by 8 years of probation. Her estimated release date, December 2039. In 2025, a Florida court ordered her to pay $5 million to Lassiter's estate, money she would never have. Before her incarceration, she had turned to OnlyFans, attempting to survive by selling explicit content online. Once a symbol of success, Sunny's life became a cautionary tale about fame, excess, and the cost of self-destruction. Jake the Snake. Roberts, Venom and Redemption. Jake the Snake. Roberts wasn't just a wrestler, he was a storyteller. His calm, sinister promos and psychological mind games revolutionized wrestling in the late 80s and early 90s. At his peak, he earned millions, faced legends, and created some of the most iconic moments in WWE history. But by the 1990s, the Snake had lost its bite. A bitter contract dispute with WCW slashed his income from millions to just $200,000 a year. And with that financial hit came despair. Roberts sank into a 20-year spiral of cocaine, alcohol, and crack addiction. He burned through his fortune, alienated his family, and watched his legacy crumble. By 2012, Jake Roberts was on the brink of death. Homeless, addicted, and forgotten, he described himself as a man waiting to die. Then came a lifeline. His friend and fellow wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page, invited him into his home, the Accountability Crib. There, through the DDPY fitness program, therapy, and love, Roberts began to heal. The wrestling community rallied around him, crowdfunded his medical bills, and gave him hope again. By 2014, Jake was sober for the first time in decades. His resurrection was captured in the 2015 documentary The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, a testament to the power of friendship and redemption. Today, Jake works under a WWE Legends contract and mentors younger talent at AEW. After losing everything, he found purpose again. Lex Luger. The total package broken apart. Lex Luger was the definition of the total package. With his sculpted physique and natural charisma, he became one of wrestling's highest-paid stars. Millions of dollars, championship titles, fame. He had it all. But everything changed in the early 2000s. Legal troubles, substance abuse, and tragedy brought his empire crashing down. In April 2003, a domestic dispute involving his girlfriend, Miss Elizabeth, led to his arrest. Days later, Elizabeth died tragically, and Luger's world spiraled. He faced multiple charges, including drug possession and DUI arrests. Legal fees devoured his fortune, and his reputation was destroyed. Then, in 2007, fate dealt the final blow, a spinal stroke that left him temporarily paralyzed. The once muscular icon was now confined to a wheelchair, facing astronomical medical bills and no steady income. From earning millions in WCW to living on a fraction of that today, Luger's fall was staggering. As of 2025, His net worth hovers around $400,000, a shadow of the fortune he once controlled. Yet, even in suffering, Luger found peace. Today, he works quietly with faith-based programs, reflecting on his mistakes with humility and grace. Virgil, from million-dollar bodyguard to penniless survivor. In 1987, Virgil became a household name as the bodyguard for the million-dollar man, Ted DiBiase. His stoic presence and eventual rebellion made him a fan favorite, and for a brief moment, a champion. But after the spotlight faded, so did his income. When WCW ended in 2000, Virgil found himself broke and forgotten. The man who once walked beside the million-dollar man couldn't afford rent. By 2013, he was seen selling autographs in subway stations, a heartbreaking sight that turned into a viral meme. Lonely Virgil. Behind the laughter was tragedy. By 2022, Virgil was diagnosed with dementia and suffered 2 massive strokes. Later that year, doctors found stage 2 colon cancer. Friends launched a GoFundMe just to help him buy food and clothes. On February 28, 2024, Virgil passed away at age 61, alone, broke, and broken. His story is a chilling reminder of how quickly fame fades when the spotlight goes out. Scott Hall, the bad guy's last fight. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, was one of wrestling's coolest characters. The toothpick flick, the swagger, the gold chains. He was untouchable. A 2-time WWE Hall of Famer and one of the founding members of the NWO, Hall was larger than life. But outside the ring, he was falling apart. Years of addiction had taken their toll. By 2013, Hall was near death. He was broke, suicidal, and unable to afford medical care. Then, once again, Diamond Dallas Page stepped in. He invited Hall into his home, helped him get clean, and even launched a crowdfunding campaign to pay for hip surgery and dental work. Fans raised over $100,000. Through DDP's support and his own determination, Hall turned his life around. He rebuilt his relationship with his son, regained his health, and in 2014 was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But in 2022, tragedy struck again. Complications from hip surgery claimed his life at 63. Scott Hall's story remains one of redemption, proof that no matter how far you fall, there's always a way back if someone reaches out a hand. Dynamite Kid, the price of greatness. Few wrestlers revolutionized in-ring performance like the Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington. His matches in Japan and WWE redefined what athleticism meant in wrestling. He was fearless, explosive, a pioneer. But that same intensity destroyed his body. By his 30s, years of high-risk matches had left him paralyzed in one leg. By 1997, he was in a wheelchair permanently. Medical bills piled up. WWE offered no support. He lived on the edge of poverty, sustained only by the kindness of fans and friends who crowdfunded his care. Despite his influence on stars like Chris Benoit and Daniel Bryan, Billington died in 2018, broke, disabled, and largely forgotten by the company he helped build. His story is one of brilliance and the high cost of giving everything to an unforgiving sport. Joey Mercury, saved by a friend. In 2005, Joey Mercury was on top of the world. As one half of the tag team M&M with Johnny Nitro and Melina, he had fame, money, and a future. Then, in one horrifying moment, it all fell apart. During a ladder match in 2006, a botched spot shattered Mercury's face, breaking his nose and orbital bone. The injury was gruesome. It ended his momentum, and the painkillers prescribed afterward became a new addiction. Within a year, WWE released him. With no income, his home faced foreclosure. He was broke and broken. Until CM Punk stepped in. Punk quietly bought Mercury's house to save him from losing everything. That act of brotherhood kept Mercury alive. After rehab, he returned to wrestling, mentoring young talent and rebuilding his life. Proof that one friend's kindness can change everything. Marty Jannetty, the rocker who fell silent. Once half of the legendary tag team The Rockers, Marty Jannetty seemed destined for greatness alongside Shawn Michaels. But while Michaels rose to superstardom, Jannetty spiraled downward. Legal troubles, addiction, and reckless decisions plagued his career. A lawsuit from an in-ring injury cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Multiple arrests for drugs and DUIs drained whatever he had left. By the 2000s, Jannetty was a ghost of his former self, erratic, broke, and lost. He battled substance abuse, faced health issues, and was rumored to be near homelessness. In his own words, he admitted, "I got bored. I missed the fame, the rush. The quiet life just didn't fit me." As of 2025, he's still fighting his demons, but friends in the wrestling world continue to check in, hoping he finds peace before it's too late. Epilogue: when the spotlight fades. The stories of these men and women are more than cautionary tales. They are human stories. Beneath the bright lights and roaring crowds are people fighting pain, loss, and the search for meaning. For every comeback, there's a tragedy. For every redemption, a reminder of how fragile fame truly is. Wrestling gives its heroes glory, but it also takes everything in return. Some escaped the darkness, some didn't. But all of them remind us that behind every championship belt lies a human being, one who once stood tall before life brought them to their knees.